Hi everyone, my name is Farheen Khan and welcome to Food is Life, a Real Talk series. Welcome to our weekly show. This week we have a great discussion planned for you, and as some of you may know, this is our final episode for our series. We've done now 13 shows, um, every week for quite a while. So we're so excited to have our final two guests in this series. Today we're going to be talking about the challenges faced by migrant workers and food justice. And so let me go ahead and formally introduce our two speakers and bring them onto the show. So the first one is Francy. Francy has been working at the Windsor Essex Bilingual Legal Clinic for 10 years as a community legal worker. She speaks Spanish, has a law degree and a master's degree in administrative law from her home country, Colombia. She studied the paralegal and the language interpreter program at St. Clair College and is currently a candidate awaiting her call to the Bar of Ontario. Since 2017, she successfully led the CARE for International Workers program and the Spanish-speaking clients program at the Legal Clinic in Windsor and Essex County. Francie is a high-profile advocate for international worker safety education and wellness in Windsor, Essex. She regularly collaborates with various social service, health, government, and settlement organizations to develop and implement programs that support international workers. And she's also readily consults with various agencies to provide legal education, solicit resources, and build relationships that will support the well-being of international workers. And then also along with Francie is Sabrina Wright. Sabrina has been a learning consultant in the financial industry for 14 years, developing learning solutions to resolve challenging and complex issues within the corporations. Part-time, she also provides support to newcomers to Canada as a mental wellness supporter, uh, uh, as a mental wellness support, and more recently by facilitating meditation sessions through her non-for-profit group, the Meta Collective. Started in December 2018, the Meta Collective is a mindfulness meditation group that primarily uses a combination of breath work, body scan, and compassion techniques to enable mindfulness. In January of 2020, Sabrina received her certification in the Applied Foundations of Mindfulness Meditation through the University of Toronto. She's continuing her formal education to specialize in mindfulness and end of life care and mindfulness and therapeutic practice. She's also completing her social service worker diploma through Durham College to further the connection between social justice and mindfulness. Recently becoming a member of the Care for International Workers program based in Leamington, Ontario, she regularly visits farms to provide mindfulness sessions and wellness support. Her personal practice is in the Vipassana tradition, and she continues her experiential education of mindfulness through practice and by regularly attending silent retreats. So, welcome, Francie and Sabrina.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Mm. Hi, Farheen. Hi, Francie.
Hello, Sabrina.
Hi.
Hi, Farheen.
Hi, thanks so much for being on the show today. It's a pleasure to have you both. We've had a lot of different people speak about the work that's happening in the food system and generally in the food movement. And it's such a great opportunity for us to start to talk about migrant workers and what role they play and how you both are playing a role in their lives and kind of, can give us a bit of a witnessing, if you will, right, of like what their experiences are like. So thanks so much for being here to have this conversation with us. Well, thanks for having us.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so why don't we just jump right into the questions? Can you tell us about your connection to migrant workers?
In my case, I feel I had a strong connection with the migrant workers and also with the Spanish-speaking population in general, because I immigrated to Canada as a skilled worker under the economic class category, and I really know what does mean to be in a foreign country, what is to be separated from your family without understanding the language, being unfamiliar with the law, with the culture, with the food, with the weather, etc. So I really know what they are feeling. So I'm always had been very passionate about helping others, and I have the lucky yes, the lucky position at the Windsor Express Bilingual Legal Clinic, they gave me the great opportunity to do what really I love to do. So I was able to put into practice my legal skills and my prior legal education and experience from my country, and assisting migrant workers to exercise their rights. And we provide legal education or sorry, general information, and also we serve them in many other ways. So I think I feel very blessed and very proud to be part and to be working at the Windsor Access Bilingual Legal Clinic, and also be the leader of the Care for International Workers program, and also the Spanish speaking clients program in all the area of Windsor and Essex County.
Great.
And I guess
Yeah.
from my perspective, so 4 years ago, I moved from Toronto to Windsor, and I began working part-time for the Windsor Women, working with immigrant women, which is a settlement agency that provides support and resources to newcomers to Canada. And so I was working there as a mental wellness support person, as you had mentioned. And although it wasn't explicitly a part of our mandate, our leader at the time identified that there was a need for wellness support for migrant workers. And so that began a lot of the different initiatives that we tried to put in place so that we could connect with migrant workers, attending health fairs, doing wellness presentations, providing counseling services. We had a space out of the local hospital so that we could provide translation and counseling services, different members of our team sort of going there to provide services to migrant workers. And then once my contract ended with the Windsor Women, working with immigrant women, I still wanted to maintain that connection with migrant workers. So I continued my connection, and my friendship with Francy was able to join as a member of the Care for International Workers Committee under the Meta Collective, which is the nonprofit meditation organization that I run. And I also provide meditation services to the farms, the local farms. But as a racialized woman, I'm always, the plight or the difficulties of marginalized people is very important to me. And so essentially my work in nonprofit has translated to the temporary foreign worker program and migrant workers and the support we can provide.
That's great. Well, I mean, it's really great that, both of you are working so closely with migrant workers and really have a good sense of it. And I mean, with Francie, like your own lived experience, right? And then Sabrina, you being able to actually go onto the farms, like it's really good that you're doing the work that you're doing, which kind of leads me to the next question. So, what role, in your opinion, do migrant workers play in the food system?
I think temporary foreign workers, they are also referred as a migrant workers or international workers. So they are workers, they are foreign nationals who come to Canada for a limited period for the purpose of filling gaps in our domestic labor supply. So they came from two streams. Usually they came from the seasonal agricultural worker program and from the agricultural stream. So they are very essential. Migrant workers are important, very essential workers for Canada's food supply and international export. However, migrant workers' food security is undermined for the other kind of things, for the poorly paid work and for the lack of access to some benefits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I would add on to that just to say that, there's more than 4,000 people from Mexico, Jamaica, Guatemala, and other countries that they come to Canada every year under either the temporary foreign worker program or by other means to be a migrant worker here in Canada. And the diversity in food is not really reflective of the workers that are here. Essentially, there's the food that is culturally relevant to them is available only in certain stores and not necessarily in the rural communities that they live in. We have to understand that when they come here to work, they're working in the most remote parts of our country or of our province. So, that sort of exacerbates their access to food, access to culturally relevant food, and it contributes to feelings of isolation and being disconnected from the community.
Mm-hmm. Although they're playing such a core, role in the food system in itself. I mean, right now, we know that there's with COVID, there's it's been such a challenging experience, right? Because and we'll get into that in a bit. But just the sheer fact that they're the ones who are doing a lot of the labor on the ground, right, and are actually picking the produce and doing the harvesting and all the things that we take for granted a lot of times in the food, in the food system, and don't always realize how much work is being put in to actually get food from farm to table, so to speak, right? And so it's good that it's important for us to recognize that this is actually a key role that they play. And you've kind of touched on it already, but I wanted to just talk about it a little bit more. So the access to food. So what just to be clear on that. So now we have white migrant workers that are coming here from different countries and are actually supporting us in harvesting food for ourselves as Canadians or as individuals who live on this land. And yet they don't necessarily have access to good food themselves. So maybe you want to speak to that a bit more?
Yeah, it's true. It's true that you are saying, Farhan. Yeah, unfortunately, temporary foreign workers, they carry out a very vital importance role in the global food production, but however, they are unable to access adequate nutritious food for themselves. So they are not able to access for their own food. So this is not good in this time. So some migrant workers also are facing several barriers in achieving their rights to food. So we are going to give some examples about this topic. So, for example, the lack of living wages, the inequality on the rights, the lack of formal employment contracts, and had a decent employment. Also, they are exposed to chemicals and pesticides, so it's a very hard situation for them because they are all the time harvesting and in the farm, so they are exposed. They also are particularly vulnerable for living in bunkers or inadequate houses that are not complying with the housing standards. For example, houses that are overcrowded, unsafe, and poor living conditions. So it's very hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, just to sort of add on to that about the vulnerability of living in bunkers and closed spaces, I am privileged to be able to talk to a lot of meditators after meditation sessions. A lot of people have many compassionate conversations with me about what's happening in their lives or about mindfulness, and that's no different when talking to migrant workers. So after a session, I was having a conversation with an employee, and he started talking about the difficulties of accessing just space mentally and physically while being a part of the temporary foreign worker program and living in close quarters. He shared that he was, in the middle of the night, he was just so overwhelmed by feeling invaded, his space feeling invaded, that he had to get up in the middle of the night and basically just leave the rooming house that he was in. And so I think that's the other aspect that we have to really understand is that obviously there are issues with the infrastructure of the temporary foreign work program, but it really affects the wellness and the well-being of the migrant workers. And there's challenges for them to be able to just have a safe space, whether mentally or physically.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, we also had another kind of problems or problems that barriers that they are facing. Also, we know the lack of social protection for them. We also know they sometimes they are working in conditions that foster discrimination or violence or abuse or an exploitation. And also we have some clients that they are victims of human trafficking. So it's really important to be awareness of that.
Mhm. Most definitely. Again, like back to just specific stories being shared with some of the migrant workers that I've worked with from a meditation perspective. They talked a lot about coming to North America and also having to navigate different community relationships, different societal norms, different racial constructs even that exist in North America that may not exist in their home country. So being from Jamaica, you're not necessarily referred to as Black because everyone in your community is Black. So you sort of connect from a nation perspective, a nationality perspective, rather than the social constructs that exist here in North America. And so that just adds another layer that they have to navigate through when they're dealing with identity issues, or dealing with access to food, or dealing with employment issues that exist in, you know, some of the barriers that they experience.
Yeah, there are other things. Yeah, they are also feel here in a foreign country. They feel isolated. They feel unprotected. They feel very bad because they don't know the language. So they are very frustrated because they don't understand anything. And also, in addition, some migrant workers that are undocumented, or they don't have the status. Here in Canada, they are experience exclusion, social exclusion, isolation, anxiety. They are sometimes unpaid work, labor, or lack of access to justice or some benefits.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a lot. And I mean, I think that's the thing is, you know, when we talk about access to food, it becomes something much more than just being able to eat nutritious foods. There's so many different factors that come into play that create barriers to you being able to access nutritious food.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the questions that's coming to mind for me is that, you know, with this current pandemic, I mean, I can only imagine that the situations and the scenarios that we're talking about have gotten far worse for migrant workers. Can we maybe speak a little bit about, you know, what the impact of the pandemic has had on the migrant workers?
Yeah, for example, in our clinic, the Windsor Essex Bilingual Legal Clinic, we have been assisting migrant workers for a long time, since January 2017, and we help migrant workers to exercise their rights. And through our Care for International Workers program, we are able to offer some kind of support, some kind of help, free services for them. So CARE is CARE is the acronym for the Community Assistance, Resources, and Education, which accurately describe the goals of this program. So, Care for International Workers has a mission, and I think we are doing a very good job in that. So, as clients of the Windsor Access Bilingual Legal Clinic, over around 400 migrant workers from Jamaica, Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Philippines, Indonesia, and other countries, Caribbean countries, they had benefited directly from the program. So everything started in 2017 when with networking with community partners and agents, we discovered that from sharing experience that they were a gap in the flow of the community services, and did not consistent with the reach of the migrant workers. So given that a number of migrant workers services in Canada, and many of them have to return into their countries, and they are only here for a limited period of time, we notice that they are not available services that are consistent with the community that they are living. So for that reason, in 2017, we create Care for International Workers, and our goal and mission is provide many services that we can. So our Care for International Workers is made up for 6 agencies. All of them are engaged in the program with their respective mandate, and all of them contribute to the achievement and the goals of this program. So what we offer is all of 6 agencies with their respective mandate. They offer legal services, public legal education, consular services, health services, counseling, meditation, individual community coaches, and organized activities. So I'm going to mention what are the 6 agencies that compose the Care for International Workers. So they are the Windsor Access Community Health Center, the Consulate of Mexico in Leamington, the Windsor Access Bilingual Legal Clinic, the Meta Collective Meditation and Wellness Support that Sabrina is going to talk about it in a little bit, the Windsor Access Compassion and Care Community, and the Migrant Worker Community Program. These are our 6 agencies. So maybe Sabrina can tell us a little bit about what is Meta Collective meditation services in our Care for International programs. I also want to mention that if migrant workers need legal assistance in Spanish, they can contact our clinic to the phones that probably that will be posted here, or if not, is 519-253-3526, extension 4033. So you can reach our clinic legal services there. Also, if the migrant workers need free services offered by Care for International Workers, they can contact the 6 agencies independently, or they can contact our legal clinic. And we had a WhatsApp number that is enabled to Care for International Workers. So they can reach us, the migrant workers and the Spanish-speaking population, they can reach us at 226-935-7772. And also we had a Facebook page, is the Care for International Workers, or Care para Trabajadores Internacionales.
Great. So I think what we'll do is afterwards we can post it into the group, any contact information that people need to reach out. So Sabrina, do you want to just briefly talk about what you're doing then, and then we'll come back to the question around the impact that migrant workers or the pandemic has had on migrant workers. I think it was important for us to. It's good that we know what CARA does. It's good for us to have that context, and I'd like to, circle back to that in a moment. So go ahead.
Okay, so actually what I'll do is I will talk a little bit about the Meta Collective, but also in relation to your question about how COVID has sort of impacted the work that we do. So I facilitate meditation sessions for free in the Windsor, Essex community, and I was doing those in person prior to the pandemic. Now I facilitate sessions via Zoom. And it's very amazing how a crisis situation really challenges you to be creative in coming up with ways to be able to continue to support the community, even though your regular tools and resources are changed or are different. It pushes you sort of past the limits of what you think you're able to do when you have to support the community or provide supports or resources to the community. So from a DC Farms perspective, that's the primary farm that I go out to provide sessions. We actually had started last year, and I was there monthly providing in-person sessions. And then this year, when the contract started again, we had to delay by a couple of months so that I could kind of talk to JC and develop more COVID, to develop sessions that would essentially fit the COVID restrictions. So we started a couple of late and we lost some sessions, but eventually we were able to come up with a plan to be able to still provide meditation sessions in person. So whereas previously we were doing sessions for 15 people, all crammed into a room, now it's 6 people and multiple sessions. I have to completely sanitize before I go into the building, wear a mask, same with the workers before they come into the session, after they leave the session. And I think it's actually, you can look at the positive and the negative of anything, but when we go through the body scan portion of meditation, I do focus on the mask and how the mask feels on their bodies, because it really brings to the forefront the experience that you have, whether it's sensations or emotions or mindfulness of COVID, and how that's impacting your life and how you can possibly balance that impact and maybe approach that impact compassionately in your life and in your body. So that's a little bit about, I guess, how COVID has impacted the meditation work that I've done.
Yeah, thank you. That's really fascinating to know, right? That it's amazing how much we've had to be creative. I think across the board, everyone's been trying to find such creative ways to do that. So it's good that the migrant workers still have that outlet, to be able to feel that. So that's really great.
And I just
go ahead.
I want to mention that. A lot of things to talk. So our clinic also has been impacted because the COVID-19. So our work at the clinic has been increased a lot. So for example, during this year, we had continued to assist my international workers. who access to our legal clinic on a regular basis in the different areas that we deal with. But because of the COVID-19 outbreak that is starting around March 2020, our work regarding the legal assistance to international workers increased, I think by 40%. So I would like to tell you some examples that we are to deal with after the pandemic start. So, for example, in our clinic, we had cases of migrant workers that they were tested positive for COVID-19, and they contact us due to different kind of things, so poor living conditions at the farms because they have not been receiving medical treatment, or they don't have receiving medical attention, or they don't have enough distancing measures in the farms, or maybe they lack of personal protective equipment, or because they had returned to work even feeling sick, so they were forced to continue working even with COVID. So our legal clinic take actions and report the complaints to the health unit at the Ministry of Labor. So the Ministry of Labor was able to proceed and do the inspections and give the recommendations to the farmers. So it's very good that the work what we are doing with this pandemic. Also, we had a lot of complaints of some migrant workers being mistreated or discriminated, harassed, or the employers are taking reprisals against them, or maybe they always are in an abuse situation in relation with their employment because they have tested positive of the COVID-19. So our legal clinic was able to start human rights application and employment claims related to this topic. So also we noticed that the increase of the applications for immigration is very high now. They are asking for permanent resident programs. They are asking for how can I extend my work permit, how can I change my employer, how can I file applications for open work permits. So yeah, we noticed that it's increasing. Also, we had workers that they had decided to rent private accommodations instead of living on the farms. So they can contact us and they can know the tenants' rights, or also they can contact us and tell us the problems with the landlords. So this is another issue that we are dealing with. And also, Sabrina is supporting us as a partner. The Meta Collective Meditation and Wellness Support is a very important role during this pandemic. So Sabrina maybe can explain also a little bit what else you are doing during this time.
Yeah, so I guess add on was just that, and it's been a great sort of journey, Francie and myself working together, sort of working towards the same cause, but coming from different directions. To say though that JC Farms has been a very excellent partner as a farm in providing space for wellness and a safe space for wellness for migrant workers at their farm. They had no cases of COVID-19 at the farm and have taken, extensive measures to be able to keep myself safe and to keep the workers safe. So very grateful. I just wanted to sort of add that on. In the work that we've done with Francie with the Windsor Ethics Bilingual Legal Clinic and through CARE, we've also developed recordings of meditations that we're going to be providing for free as well to migrant workers. And those recordings are being translated or have been translated into Spanish. So we're going to be releasing that to the migrant workers so that they have access to that as well. And then, did you want to say something, Francie?
No, I want to say that related to that, yeah, we already, the Windsor Access Bilingual Legal Clinic, we produced 6 videos, exactly, with subtitles also in Spanish, English, and French for migrant workers. And we try to provide a general public legal education on various legal aspects, areas, and the law and changes related to COVID-19. So you can find the videos in our social media, in the CARE YouTube channel or in the CARE Facebook page. So we posted some broadcast live videos and also pre-recorded videos about many topics, interesting topics. So I want to mention also that we are promoting free English classes for migrant workers with Alexandra Frontier College. So by Facebook, so migrant workers can access to the free English classes. So this is really good. Now we have some ongoing projects. One is the project with the meal exchange. So Sabrina is going to maybe mention more about the meal exchange project, but I want to mention also that we had another one. It is the settlement. It's about the settlement workers in Canada. So usually settlement agencies help newcomers and refugees for the services they need to settle in Canada, but those agencies, they don't help migrant workers. So our clinic and our partners, the Windsor Access Compassion and Care Community, we are developing a new series of videos for migrant workers. The series will be connecting with community, and we will be able to help and provide services and basic information that they need to know when they arrive to the FARS.
Yeah, and then I think another project to mention as well, like that has sprung out of this COVID pandemic, is the work that we're doing with the Windsor Essex Compassionate Care Community, and specifically with Christy Nelson, Diane Mulcaster, and Janice Maroon. And they have a program that's already in place called the Neighbors Survey, which essentially it has people within the community self-rate their wellness, and then with the help of sort of a community partner or a counselor, then they're able to access services based on how they rate their own wellness. And so in this sort of this collaboration that's sort of happening because of COVID between myself and Francy and with WEC, we're now bringing that survey to the migrant workers so that they can self-rate their own well-being, and then we can provide tailored supports to them to help them through whatever it is that they're experiencing at this time.
Yeah, I also want to say something that is going to happen soon. So all the members of Care for International Workers, we are going to distribute a lot of masks that we have for migrant workers and for people in need soon. So just we will tell you when we will be distribute the masks soon.
Great. And then also, I think there was just a bit of a discussion on the fact that earlier in the show around the lack of access to good food. So I believe, we've had some conversations on potentially trying to figure out a way to get better food out to the migrant workers. So that's sort of a piece in process, I guess, right? That will, that sort of, you're looking at, which is really great. I know that with Meal Exchange, we've done a lot of work to support students across the country in the same sort of way to ensure that they have access to good food. So it's definitely important to know. So if we wanted to, we're about to wrap up. So just wanted to ask if anybody had questions or if they wanted to reach you, what would be the best way to do that, to learn more?
Well, I guess I didn't really go into the meditation group and what we do, but essentially we provide free sessions and connections with the community and building compassion and compassionate relationships within our community. If you want to get access to sessions or join sessions, or you want to join me on the farms to provide support, meditation support, then you can contact me through Facebook. So I'm on Facebook, on Instagram. You can also reach me by email, meta.collective@gmail.com, and feel free to reach out.
Yeah, so I want to mention the same. Yes, the migrant workers can contact our legal clinic for legal services, and also if they need the free services of the 6 agencies, they can contact also us. So I'm sure we hope to continue to assist international workers who face adversity and injustice in our community, as well the Spanish-speaking population who access to our legal clinic on our regular basis. And yeah, we are so happy to continue working for them and fight for their works and their rights and everything they need. We will be available for help them anytime.
And I'd like to add just one more thing, Farheen, before we get cut off. It's very important. I think, we talk about the community and what we can do to support as an individual. And sometimes, we don't know what to do. So I would say build your awareness about the path of your food, including the migrant workers and how the food gets to your table. A lot of people are focused on zero waste and on animal rights, and migrant workers are part of that entire path, and that can build some understanding about how to help them. Make sure you ensure the quality of their rights by providing community support through donations to food banks, emergency shelters, support for migrant worker, the community programs, volunteer to support essential services that provide support to marginalized communities. And if you don't have the time or the money, then just connect people. If you know of two people that can work together towards an aim, then connect them, connect organizations, and do a little by little, we can make the experience of temporary foreign workers and international workers better, and ourselves in the process.
Yeah, I also think what the government can do in order to help migrant workers, and say if the government just can give them the permanent residency immigration status will be fine. If the government give them the open work permits that they need to find another job, the job that they prefer, if they ensure access without fear regardless of the immigration status, and give an expanded health care, if the permanent wage increases, the fair salaries, the access to pay emergency leaves, ensure that the terms of the employment contracts are in line with the international standards and has been respected, will be amazing. It's something that we can do for them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to take a moment to say thank you so much for all that you are doing. We've been seeing some comments on social media coming up from some of the people that are watching. I've been watching. Let me put one up here so you can see. But a lot of people are expressing gratitude for all that you're doing. And I also want to take a moment to say thank you for all the work that you're doing, particularly for migrant workers, because they're so vulnerable, and yet they play such an important role, right, in the grand scheme of things in terms of our food system and how we as individuals get access to food. So I appreciate all the work that you're doing, and thank you, both for the different aspects of the work that you're doing to continue to support migrant workers in safety and wellness, and ensuring that they have rights and that they're you're advocating for their rights, and especially during a pandemic like this, where there's so much uncertainty. It's really good to know that there's people like yourselves on the ground doing the work. So thanks again for all that you're doing, and keep up the great work.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, Sabrina, for your amazing work with the care for international workers.
Same, right back at you. Thank you so much for having us.
No problem. All right, take care, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Have a good day, both of you.
Everyone, so that was what a great conversation. Very important for us to hear about. We've heard from so many people talking about the food system in so many different ways, and the actors, if you will, of the people that work in different roles within the system. And it was really important for us to know what the impact, of team and the pandemic, but also just generally the conditions within which migrant workers are working. So very grateful for our two guests, Sabrina and Francy, for all the knowledge that they shared. And thanks to all the people who've made comments. Very good to see everyone engaged. We thank you all for joining us on this series of Life Real Talk series. And if you're interested in going back to watch some of the other shows, you're welcome to do that on Meal Exchange's YouTube page. And as always, we're looking to continue to support, as Meal Exchange, the students across Canada on campuses, and now within this time that are also off campus, and give them access to good food. So if you're learning more about that, please feel free to go to our website, goodfoodnow.ca, and you can learn more. So take care, and I wish you all the best.